Okay, in this series of videos, we're going to discuss tint versus opacity, transparency effect, color theme, and changing the paper color in InDesign, along with a little bonus, a little resource that I have for you guys so that you can easily identify fonts online. So, let's begin. First up, let's talk about the difference between tint and opacity. As you can see right here, I have two circles. All right, the one on top is 30% opacity, and the other one is, and I will pull this up, it is 30% tint of magenta. One is a 30% transparency, opacity of magenta, and the other one is 30% tint of magenta. So you might say, well, what is the difference? Well, the difference is very big. If you keep your eye on this cyan frame right here, this cyan frame is behind both the magenta circle here and the magenta circle up here. So when I pull it up and I put it behind the one with the 30% opacity, you'll see, and I will preview this so you can actually see this, you'll see that it is transparent. And you can see that it actually, because it is transparent, it creates a third color. So that is basically the primary difference between opacity and tint. Tint is opaque, and even though it is lighter, but it is opaque, whereas the 30% opacity is transparent. Next, let's talk about transparency effects. Let's say, for example, I want to make this magenta fill, and I want this to be transparent over this blue, but I still want to be able to read the text. So if I click on this object, and then I go up to the transparency option, and let's say I make that 30% opaque. And when I do that, okay, I have, if you can see, and I will preview this, you see that yes, it is transparent, but the words are transparent also. I don't want the words to be transparent. I just wanted the fill to be transparent. All right, so let's take care of that. What InDesign allows you to do is it allows you to pretty much take apart these objects and make what you want transparent versus what you don't want transparent. Here's how that works. I'm going to click on this frame. It's a text frame with the words on the inside. I'm going to go up to FX. I'm going to slide over to transparency, and when I do that, you're going to see I have some options here. And if you see here, I have object, but then if you notice here, it says fill. So now if I select the fill and I say make the fill 30%, let's see what happens. Okay, as you can see, and I'll say okay, so you can actually see this. You can see that the fill became transparent, but the words are still opaque. So by manipulating your transparency effects, in other words, you don't have to make the whole object. You can make just the stroke, the fill, or even just the text. So that's one of the ways that you can pretty much control your transparency effects in InDesign. Okay, let's talk about the color theme tool. And as you've heard me tell you guys before, you really want to make sure that you get rid of all of the default colors that come right out of the box in InDesign so that you can build in your own colors. So let's say, for example, I have this image, this floral image right here, and I want to capture some of the colors that are inside this illustration or in this photo that I can use on my document. So what I'm going to do is, if you notice, if you go down to the eyedropper, if you click on the eyedropper, or you click and keep your finger on the eyedropper, you'll see something that says color theme. All right, and at that point, what you can do is you can actually just select any place, you know, within this image, and what it's going to do is it's going to give you a range of colors based on what it how it interprets this entire body of art. So now once that happens, you can click here, and it's going to add these colors right here, and they're already CMYK. Even though this is an RGB image, it's already saved out in the CMYK color space so that you can use a set of colors that will complement your artwork when you're building in your type or your graphics or anything that's going to go around this image. You have some colors to work with. You're not limited to these colors, but it's giving you a head start as far as some additional colors that you can use that will complement this image. So that's a pretty cool feature in InDesign. Lastly, in our color series, I want to talk to you guys about actually changing the color of the paper. As you notice in InDesign, and I will call this up so you can see this, you don't have white as a color. You have something that says paper, and that is because most of what is printed in the wonderful world of professional print production is printed on white paper. But in some cases, you may also print on color paper. So that's why you can actually control the color of the paper. Let's take a look at that and see how that works. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this. All right, so now let's say, for example, if I'm doing this flyer and I know I want this flyer to print on a light pink paper. So what I can do is I can double click on paper and I can actually assign a value. In this case, I'll make it 30% tint of magenta, and I'll say OK. And now you can see, I'll preview this. This will show me what this is going to look like when it's printed on a pink paper. But here's the key. This is only for preview purposes only. This color will not print. In other words, if I were to export this out as a PDF file, and I'm going to do that right now, just so you can see this. All right, I'll accept all the defaults, and I'll just say export. And as you notice, it's going to output with a white background. And that is, now see if you can wrap your head around this. The reason why that took place is because this is just a courtesy to me, so I can see what it's going to look like on pink paper. So when it goes to the printer, whether it's a desktop printer or if it's going to be professionally printed on pink paper, it still has to be, there's only one color that can be on there, and it has to be black, so that the black will print on whatever the color of the paper is. For example, if I wanted to print this on yellow paper, as a courtesy to me, I can change the paper. I could change the color from this tint of magenta. I could change it to 100% yellow, and now I can see what it's going to look like when it prints on yellow paper. But remember that that is not going to print. If I were going to export this out again, you'll see that it's just going to print out black on white. Because the bottom line is that background color is a non-printing color. It's just a courtesy to me or to you as the designer, so you can see what it will look like on a color paper stock. Okay, here's a nifty little resource that I thought I would share with you guys, and hopefully you guys will capture this URL and keep it in a safe place so that you guys can access it when the need arises. Let's say, for example, you want to identify a font and you're not sure you don't even know where to go, you don't know what it is, but you want to be able to identify a font so you can maybe create an ad for a client that needs a certain font. Well, this resource is a really, really cool resource. It's at the myfonts.com website, and it's a tab that says what the font. So let's say, for example, I'm going to go over here to the Carnival website, and let's say I want to identify this spring sale right here. So I'm going to do a screenshot or a screen grab if you want to on the PC side. All right, and I'm going to capture spring sale. All right, and now I'm going to come back here to what the font. It saved that that little screen grab to my desktop. I'm going to take that little screen grab, I'm going to drop it into this box right here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up so that I can see both words. Open it up, all right, and then I'll click the little arrow. Let me open it a little wider. All right, and then I'm going to click the arrow, and it's going to search, 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 and then voila. And as you can see, it's going to give us multiple choices, but you can see right now, it looks like it's tempo heavy condensed. And of course, you can either purchase it at this particular site, or you can see if you can find it online somewhere for free. But this is a cool little resource, you guys, to keep it handy and access it whenever the need arises.